This is an expert witness report. I'm going to be reviewing client Jacob Rowe's case involving the Fargo, North Dakota Police Department. I'm going to start by playing a recent news article that aired in the papers today regarding Mr. Rowe.
Fargo, an attorney for the city and two police officers here deny allegations by a West Fargo man who alleged the officers violated his constitutional rights during a traffic accident in a whiteout blizzard 2 years ago. Jacob Daniel Rowe, now 28, filed a lawsuit last month in U.S. District Court against the Fargo Police Department and, specifically, Officer Sarah Cruz.
Okay, Jacob filed a lawsuit. He's now in court. I'm going to be going over his case, but I want to start by going over some of the evidence that was used against him. Jacob was arrested for DUI. His face and name were in the paper. Let me just transition to another screen here. Jake was arrested after running into the back of a police car during a blizzard. That's his photograph there in the center. Essentially, according to Jake, his life was ruined. I've conducted a series of interviews with him. I've reviewed the evidence. I've looked at the police reports. The first problem the police have is that he wasn't intoxicated. His blood alcohol level was below the legal limit. The second thing is that he was injured in the traffic collision, which might have impaired his ability to cooperate and complete the test. But the third problem is that after going to court, the case was thrown out. So Jake is now suing the Fargo, North Dakota Police Department with my assistance as an expert. I'm going to move to some of the footage of Jake. This is Jake as he's actually sitting in the back of the police car. Some of this footage and materials aired on local North Dakota TV. And I had an opportunity to talk with Jake about the experience and what he went through. But let me just briefly go over the evidence. Jake was driving approximately 25 miles an hour when he slammed into the back of a police vehicle. The officer who arrived on scene assumed that he had been intoxicated, immediately ordered him out of the vehicle and placed him under arrest. Ultimately, Jake was taken to criminal trial and the charges were thrown out. That's Jake in the back seat. I'm going to pick up now with my conversation with Jake, interviewing him about the case.
Jacob Rowe from North Dakota.
Hey Jake, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Okay, listen, I got your email and a couple things I want to go over with you, and then I'll be perfectly happy to listen to some of the stuff that's happened in your case. All right?
Okay.
Okay, first let me just tell you what I reacted to when you sent me your email. You're one of the first clients that we assisted through the paralegals in helping them draft a lawsuit. And so we want to keep track of, just for our own purposes, what happens with your case. The second thing is that you brought a very serious and credible case. You had a lot of evidence. You had a great story, and you did a lot of the work on your own. So we're not going to, there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing that I'm not going to be charging you fees for. I know Miss Jackson told you about the membership. That's just required. We're now a membership-only organization. But the other things that I plan on doing, you're not going to have to be billed or worry about. It's just things that I think are for the public good, and I think you have a really good case. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have the public follow your case on our website. I know you have already been exposed negatively in the press, and for a brief time we had some information about your case along with others, but right now this is a featured case, or at least I'd like to make it a featured case, because it shows me that they're trying to cover their tracks. At least that's what I got from your email the other day. So why don't you start by giving me the most recent developments, and then maybe I can answer any questions you have about what I want to do.
Okay. I did my interrogatory, I can't remember, request for documentation from the city of Fargo, and I requested for the calibration dates of both their breathalyzers prior to that accident occurred, and their response was that this happened 2 years ago and we don't keep records back that far.
Well,
and then the second thing,
that's pretty outrageous.
Yeah. And then I requested to know dates and times of Officer Cruz's ST2 and Sergeant Helmick's ST5 last calibrated prior to January 25th, 2010. Officer Cruz and Sergeant Helmick no longer have the calibration records from 2 years ago, is their response.
And let me ask you about something. Let me ask you about something that really caught my attention. You said that the officers also have personnel issues with other complaints.
Oh, yeah. Officer Cruz, to begin with, this documentation was printed up January 15th, 2011. She had 2008, you had a substantial violation of Police Department Code of Conduct Policy. 2009, Sergeant Helmick documented your semi-annual vision on minor cases. Reports often lack detail and might help during follow-up. Internal affairs complaint, unsatisfactory work performance, and then there was another one where she failed to appear for municipal court. And then back in 2004, on one of her reviews, it says that she had a difficulty with one area of her performance during this quarter. She struggled in a situation where she has little to no previous experience dealing with as an officer. Limited amount of work experience makes it difficult to manage certain situations. During these situations, she said the struggle of keeping her composure. An example happened. Sarah had handling an unattended death case. This is an unusual case that Sarah failed to follow certain procedures. Most obvious is that these failures when she left the crime scene unattended and unsecure. She also needed help dealing with several other parts of the investigation.
So the officer. So hold on. This is Officer Cruz, correct?
Yes.
Just for anyone who may listen to this recording, what was her role in your arrest?
She waited until the EMTs were within about 5 to 10 feet of me. Requested to know when they got to the scene to let her know when she wanted to know when the EMTs were on their way to the scene, and then she ordered me out of my vehicle prior to the EMT even evaluating if I needed medical treatment. And
you were actually, let me just go over this. You were arrested for DUI, but you were injured in the accident, and you were not DUI, correct?
Correct.
All right. And the North Fargo Police Department arrested you anyway with improper investigation of your DUI, and as it turned out, you did blow on a breathalyzer and blew zeros?
There was never any breathalyzer that actually worked. The only breathalyzer that I was able to get was at Cass County when I had been processed. I asked for a breathalyzer, and at that point, and I blew a .02 is what I was told by the deputy that was working that day at the desk.
Okay.
Booking.
So you were well under the legal limit.
Yep. And then my blood draw was like at a .04. By the time that finally came back, but that was weak. So I only had like 2 beers in my system. And
that's what you said all along?
Correct.
Okay. Now, they took you out of your car, arrested you, and then they publicized this on local television, correct?
Correct. The sergeant was interviewed by the Fargo Forum, and he stated that I was drunk, and it got printed.
Okay. All right, this is what I'm going to do, Jake, and I want to have a series of additional calls with you. I'm going to go into your old file and see what I have. I know I have the videos of the traffic stop or the incident at the traffic scene, and I have some video. Okay, I'm going to stop the audio there and just go over what we're looking at now. This is the actual scene shortly after Jake's accident. He was driving 25 miles an hour. It turns out the trooper was parked in the middle of the roadway attending to another accident that had happened a few moments earlier. It's my expert opinion that the arriving officers overreacted and assumed that because Mr. Rowe had hit a police car, therefore he must be drunk. Ultimately they arrested him. But when you look at the visibility at this crime scene, anyone could hit anyone in this sort of weather. The visibility is about zero. So the investigation of the accident was improperly handled, and certainly the officer's arrest of Mr. Rowe for DUI was a flawed arrest. My expert opinions are in more detail in Mr. Rowe's report. I'm going to conclude this segment of the report now, and we will be posting this video as well as updates to the website in the future.